So, Mustama, most of you have been to a Hasidic shtibel at some point, and you've witnessed the following scene. The Olim walk in, and there is prepared Kinai Nahora, there's mezainas, there's some schnapps, a bissel l'chaim, some bromfen, you know, it's a Geschmack Matzav. Oh, Voseppas, what happened today? The Yotzai of the Rebbe Zechoni Levracha. Ooh, who doesn't remember the Rebbe Zechoni Levracha? Ah, remember the Tish. Remember I used to give brachas. Remember his smile. Remember his droshes before Ne'ilah. Gewaldig, the Rebbe Zechoni Levracha. Moedik. A couple of weeks later, in the same shtibel, also a bissel mezainis, some schnapps. Oh, what's today? What's happening? This was the Rebbe Zechoni Levracha Zayda. Ooh, I remember my father telling me that he was there, b'shas Maisa, when the Rebbe blew shofar. Oh, the Olim were crying. The Rebbe Zechoni Levracha's grandfather, unbelievable. A few weeks later, you walk into shul. Nochal l'chaim, schnapps. What's going on? Ooh, this was the Rebbe's great grandfather. Aha. Okay. I think there was a guy in shul, an old guy. He remembers when he was young, so there was some old people in his shul who told them that their father remembered the Rebbe. Okay, also good, gewaldig. Imagine you walk in a few weeks later, see some schnapps, bissel l'chaim. Not just that, the whole table is laid, there's fruit, there's the whole matzav going on. Ooh, what's going on? The Rashba's Yortzeit. Ah, come on. You might have a bit late sunnis over here. What's going on? The Rashba? What's that? Is the Rashba? What's going on? Unbelievable thing. And yet over here, what do we have? The Heilige Reb Shimon Bar Yochai gets the biggest party the whole year, bigger than anybody else in the world. What's happened to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai? What happened to Reb Zera? Can you imagine? Rabbi say, Reb Zera's your... What? Rabba. What's Pshat? What's Reb Shimon Bar Yochai? What's going on? So, you know, Be'ez Hashem, all of us, this year, are going to be zoicha to be there. Last year, many of us were not zoicha to be there. So, as we always try to do a little bit of achona, a bit of understanding of what are we doing? What's going on over here? Where does this all come from? What's the purpose of everything? You know, I don't know if you had this feeling, but it's a positive feeling. You come to Meiron anytime, and I don't care when it is. It could be like Boimer, it could be on a random Wednesday morning. It doesn't make a difference, right? We're in Meiron. Geschmack. You feel you're in Meiron, no? You came home. You're in Meiron. You know what I'm talking about, right? You feel at home. You feel you're in Meiron. It's geschmack. I remember I was once on a bus, random bus, on the way to Tzfas. Yeah, the guy turns to me, a random guy says to me, "You also coming to visit Reb Shimon?" It's like, "Oh, brother, you going to visit Reb Shimon? Like, you know, that's what we do. We go visit Reb Shimon." What? Where is this all coming from? What is going on over here? I want to take a little bit of time today, Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow, to explain a little bit of what is going on, because we don't just jump into things. We try to understand them. The Heilige Baal Shem once said that it's almost impossible to explain to a goy the maila of a yid. That's what steht in the Baal Shem Tov. His Einikel, his grandson, Reb Baruch Mameshbish, once said that it's not only impossible to explain a yid to a goy, but it's also impossible to explain a yid to another yid. As he was interpreting his grandfather's, the Baal Shem Tov's understanding. Now, this applies to a regular yid. This applies to a normal Jew. So, Kol Shekin for sure it applies to tzaddikim that we poshut cannot understand. There's a famous Maisa that the Pnei Yeshua once met the Baal Shem Tov twice. And once one of his Talmidim, the Talmud of the Pnei Yeshua, had a few problems with his feet. A few problems, whatever, medical problems with his feet. So he went to his Rebbe, the Pnei Yeshua, and the Pnei Yeshua told him, go to the Baal Shem Tov. Go to the Baal Shem Tov, you'll see. So he goes to the Baal Shem Tov and he came back, oh wow, I met the Baal Shem Tov. Mama, she spoke to him like a Tana. Like Mama, like unbelievable. The Pnei Yeshua said, okay, but what's with the questions, your problems, whatever? So he said, listen, as long as I thought that he was a human being, so I had questions, I had to situate. But now I saw Malach Hashem Tzvakish. It's not even a human being. So all my questions, fell away. So this applies to tzaddikim, right? Tzaddikim. We want to be masig Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. We want to understand Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. It's not even possible. How are we even daring to stand here and try to explain Reb Shimon Bar Yochai? It's Pasha not negeh. However, we do have V'shteit, whatever's written, we can say, right? To understand it, Pasha, we can't understand. But to try and get a little bit of inkling of whatever the Sfarim HaKadoshim bring us, this we do have. So I want to give today a little bit of a history. The next couple of days we'll get more into the Inyan. But today is a little bit of a history and understanding, where did he come from? Where did Reb Shimon Bar Yochai come from? And I think it's important to understand where he came from, where was his beginning, to understand a little bit of an idea who he was. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was born 50 years after Churban Bayis Sheni. There's a Gavaldiga Sefer called Sefer Nachlas Avos. So he brings over there this Gavaldiga Maisa, which is already a famous Maisa, which everybody knows, but again, it's kedai to repeat it at this particular time before we go up there to know who we are dealing with. Yochai. Let's deal with Reb Shimon's father, Bar Yochai, right? Nimshachta Ashrecha. Nimshach. That's a magnet, just works. We'll talk about that as well. What's pshat? All the Yidden, all types of Yidden. No shaykhs to Reb Shimon. These people probably put on tefillin on Chol HaMoed Hashem Yirachim, and they're going up to Meiron. What's pshat? You walk over there, you see Yidden, that pasha. What are you doing? You want to walk over to the guy like, what are you doing over here? Like, you even know who this is? You opened up a Babylonian Talmud in your life and understood what's going on? We'll talk about that, Be'ez Hashem. But let's go from the beginning. Who is Yochai? Who is Yochai? Bar Yochai. Yochai was a very, very wealthy, well-respected individual. His wife, Sarah, had no children. Now, his wife, Sarah, by the way, was a descendant of Hillel HaZakin. So, after many, many years with no children, he wanted to have children. I want to have a child. So he davened and davened. Nothing happened. And he decided, I'm going to divorce her. I divorce her. I can't have this. I need to go and find a new wife. I need a child. That's what I need to do. So he went to the Shadchan. Said, no, have good shedach for me. So she starts looking. And in the meantime, his wife, Sarah, realized that her husband, Yochai, was looking to divorce her because of no children. And she was very, very upset. So she went and she started davening mamish bekavona atzuma. Unbelievable. It was the night of Rosh Hashanah. And the night of Rosh Hashanah, Yochai was sleeping, and he dreamed that he was in a huge forest. And there were some trees over there, fruit trees, that were full of fruit. Some of the trees were beautiful, full of fruit, and some of them were just dry. They were completely empty, little dry branches. Nothing happening over there. His dream was that he was leaning against one of the empty trees, and he saw a man that looked like a malach, who walking around, watering all the trees. Walking around watering the trees. Now, he wasn't watering every tree. He was randomly watering various trees. Some of them he did, some of them he skipped. Right? Suddenly, Yochai saw that he came over to his tree. And he came not with the watering bucket that he had for all the other trees, but with a plate. And he watered my tree, said Yochai. And all of a sudden, in that moment, the tree started looking greener, look healthier again. Started sprouting leaves, and then fruit came. It was absolutely beautiful, and then he woke up from his dream. Okay, Ad Khan was the dream. He tells his wife the dream. Sarah, I had a beautiful dream. Can you maybe give me some insight into what is going on over here? Where does this dream come from? What does this mean? What does this mean to us? So she tells him the dream, and he tells her the dream, and she says that the forest is this world, and the trees are the women of this world. Some of them get fruit, children, and some of them do not. And when do they get it? On Rosh Hashanah. That's when everything's decided. That's when you had the dream, was on Rosh Hashanah. The tree that I was leaning on was me. That was the tree that you were leaning on. And it shows that we are going to have a child. So he said, I have a question. And the question is, why did all the other trees get watered normally? And my tree got watered with a plate, which is a different way of watering than all the other trees. So she said to him, it's a good question. You're going to have to go to Rebbe Kiva. You have to go to Rebbe Kiva. Only Rebbe Kiva is going to be able to answer such a question. So she goes to Rebbe Kiva, and Rebbe Kiva said, you're absolutely right. You interpreted the dream in the correct way. But the plate that watered your tree was because your wife, you could never have children. It was Poshet L'Gzeira, could never have children. But because of all her tefillahs, because of all her crying, because of all her emunah in the Rabbeinu Shalom, those tears were gathered in that plate. And that plate was what watered the tree, and that's what caused the child, and you will be zoichet to have a tremendous tzaddik come out of you, which was obviously by Yochai, Reb Shimon. Okay, so According to many, by the way, he was actually born on Lag BaOmer. Not only died on Lag BaOmer, but he born, because we know a Kabbalah, many tzaddikim that die and born on the same day. The Gemara in Sukkah Memei Beis tells us famously, Yochanan nifta kol ha'olam min adin. Reb Shimon bar Yochai says, I can patter the ganze Welt from din. Can you imagine what that means? The whole world, from Mitchila v'ad Sof, from Odom HaRishon all the way to the end of time. Reb Shimon bar Yochai on his own can exempt everyone from din. The Sfas Emes brings down in Parshas Emor Tov Reish Nun Beis, and he says, I heard this from the Chedushei Arim, that on Lag BaOmer a person can be zoicha to tremendous Yireh Shamayim. We'll talk a little bit more about Lag BaOmer in Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow. In the Pri Tzadik, Reb Tzadik HaKohen in Parshas Vayikra brings that Rabbi Kiva was the shayrish of all Torah Shebal Peh, right? Like that result says. And Reb Shimon bar Yochai was his Talmud, but they couldn't make a Yontef on the day that Rabbi Kiva died, because Rabbi Kiva was killed in a terrible, brutal way. So they couldn't make a Yontef on such a day. So therefore they had to make the Yontef of Rabbi Kiva, who was the Makor of Torah Shebal Peh, on the day of Reb Shimon. Instead, it was his Talmud, and that means, again, and we'll discuss this in more detail, that a person on Lag BaOmer can be zoicha to tremendous Torah Shebal Peh. And again, just to understand, this is something that Reb Shimon was zoicha to that nobody else was zoicha to. And let's just end with this as well, that the Baal Shem Tov writes, it's quoted at least in the Toldos Yaakov Yosef, that the reason why people don't reach their potential is because of their deep humility. Now, it's a beautiful midah to be an onav, right? To have humility is beautiful. We're meant to do that. But he says, the Baal Shem Tov, that because people are such anov, there's such humility going on, they don't even reach their full potential, and therefore they don't realize that every little thing that they do in this world, every bracha, every Torah, every chesed, causes worlds and worlds to appear. It's the most unbelievable thing. Now, we know that Lag BaOmer falls on Hoid Shebahoid. Now, according to many Sifrei Kabbalah, Hoid Shebahoid is actually a very spiritually low day. And the reason for that is because Hoid is din. Din is generally harsh judgment. So on Lag BaOmer it's Hoid Shebahoid. So it's din shebadin. It's harshest of the harshest, din that can possibly exist in the world. So al pi Kabbalah, the day of Lag BaOmer is a very spiritually low day. However, within that lowness lies a tremendous greatness, and that's the Yontef of Reb Shimon, the Yontef of Lag BaOmer. And that, so the Sfarim HaKadoshim teaches us, that even if a person is in a low situation, even if a person is in a low madrega, he's not holding where he's meant to be, he's not holding where he wants to be, but still, even in Hoid Shebahoid, we can have the greatest simcha, we can have the greatest celebration. Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we shall continue on this path and go a little bit more in the studio. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.